One rule that stands out from my school days is the no phones in class policy. This rule was meant to make sure that students paid full attention to the lessons instead of getting distracted by their phones. It's pretty clear why this rule is important. Using phones during class can really throw off your focus and prevent you from properly absorbing the material. If anyone broke this rule, their phone would be confiscated until the end of the day, and in some cases, parents would be notified. Some students found this a bit harsh, but it worked to keep the distractions at bay. As for how I feel about it, I actually think it was a good rule, even though it was tough to follow sometimes. Looking back, it helped keep everyone on track, and I could see how it created a better learning environment overall. Phones are great, but there's a time and place for everything, right? One science subject that fascinates me is robotics. Robotics is the field of science and engineering focused on designing, constructing, and operating robots. It's a mix of several disciplines like mechanical engineering, electronics, computer science, and AI, making it a highly dynamic and versatile area. I became interested in robotics through watching documentaries and movies that portrayed futuristic robots and their potential. Seeing how robots could assist humans in daily tasks, or even in critical fields like surgery and space exploration, was mind-blowing. This curiosity led me to dive deeper into the subject. I mostly learn about robotics through online courses, tutorials, and YouTube channels dedicated to robotics projects. Platforms like Coursera and edX offer excellent courses that break down complex ideas into digestible lessons. I also experiment with beginner-level kits to get hands-on experience in building small robots. What makes robotics interesting to me is how it combines creativity with technology. The idea of creating machines that can interact with their environment, learn, and even assist humans is truly fascinating. Plus, it's exciting to see how robots are already transforming industries like manufacturing, healthcare, and even entertainment. It's a field where the possibilities seem endless. Recently, I heard a fascinating speech at an online TED Talk event. It was delivered by a cognitive scientist who explored the topic of how language shapes the way we think. I came across it while browsing for interesting talks on YouTube. The speaker discussed how different languages influence the way people perceive time, space, and even color. For example, some cultures don't use words like left or right, but instead use cardinal directions like north, south, east, and west to describe locations. The talk provided several interesting examples showing how language can shape our thoughts in ways we don't usually consider. I found the speech captivating because it combined psychology, linguistics, and culture in a way that was easy to understand. It opened my mind to how powerful language is, not just as a communication tool, but as a lens through which we experience the world. It made me reflect on how learning different languages might broaden one's thinking and perspective. The speaker's enthusiasm and use of real-world examples made it both engaging and thought-provoking. Sure. Here's a longer version of your experience at the restaurant, keeping it at a 1.5-minute reading time. There was this one time when I went to a popular restaurant with some friends, and let me tell you, the service was completely out of whack. It was about 2 months ago, and we were all really looking forward to enjoying a nice meal together. From the moment we stepped in, things started to go downhill. The waiter seemed overwhelmed and was really dragging their feet, taking forever to greet us or even bring the menus. We felt like we were left hanging, and our excitement began to wane. When we finally managed to place our orders, we thought, finally, we can relax now. But we soon found out that waiting was just the beginning. Our food took ages to arrive. Honestly, it felt like we were waiting for a lifetime. When the dishes finally came out, we were shocked to find that some were cold, and a couple of orders were completely wrong. It was frustrating, to say the least. What really got to us, though, was how the waiter handled our complaints. When we brought up the issues, they brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal, which really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, we were just trying to communicate and get the situation sorted out. At that point, we were all pretty fed up to the back teeth. We had expected a nice dining experience, but instead we were feeling more like an inconvenience. I understand that everyone has off days, but the lack of care or effort to rectify the situation really left a sour taste in my mouth. I was ready to cut our losses and leave. Overall, it was a disappointing experience, and it definitely made me reconsider whether I'd want to go back there in the future. There's this painting I really like called Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. I first saw it when I was scrolling through an art blog online, and it just grabbed my attention instantly. It shows a night sky swirling with stars over a small town, and it gives off this dreamy, almost magical feeling. What I know about it is that Van Gogh painted it while he was in a mental institution in 1889. It's said that he painted it from his room, looking out at the view, but also adding his own creative spin to it. The way he captured the sky with those intense brushstrokes really stood out to me. It wasn't just a peaceful night sky, it was alive, full of movement and emotion. I like it because it feels like there's more than just a scene. There's a story behind those swirling stars, and it sort of reminds me of how our minds can be full of chaos, but still find beauty in it. Plus, the colors and the way the sky blends into the landscape just makes it so captivating. It's one of those pieces that I can stare at for a long time and always find something new to appreciate. There's a photograph I took a couple of years ago while on a trip to Da Nang, Vietnam. I snapped it while at the beach, right as the sun was setting over the ocean. The colors in the sky were stunning, a mix of orange, pink, and purple reflected on the water. The whole scene felt surreal, and I couldn't help but capture the moment. I took it during the summer when I was traveling with some friends. We had just spent the day exploring, and that sunset was the perfect way to end the trip. Every time I look at that photo, it reminds me of the carefree, happy vibes we had back then. It brings back memories of laughter, fun conversation, as it represents
A time when I felt really relaxed and free, sure, and good friends. That photograph is a little piece of that memory, and looking at it always lifts my mood.
I know a person who I believe is highly successful. His name is David, a colleague from my current workplace. David is in his late 30s and holds a leadership position in our company. I first met him when I joined the organization a few years ago. Despite his high-ranking position, he's always approachable, which is one of the reasons I admire him. David is the kind of person who is consistently calm under pressure. He communicates clearly, respects others, and maintains an open-door policy for his team. I've noticed that he handles stressful situations with poise and focuses on solutions rather than problems. His humility, combined with his sharp decision-making skills, sets him apart. I consider him successful not just because of his position or financial stability, but also due to his ability to lead with empathy, inspire those around him, and continuously seek personal and professional growth. His balanced approach to life and work is something I find truly admirable, and it's why I look up to him as a role model of success. One park I've really enjoyed visiting is Công viên Hoang Văn Thu in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. It's tucked away in a bustling part of the city, which makes it a perfect spot to catch a break from the hustle and bustle. I usually swing by on weekends when I feel like I need to recharge my batteries. It's just a stone's throw away from where I live, making it super convenient to pop over anytime I need to clear my head. The reason I love this park is because it's like an oasis in the middle of the city. I love the greenery and the peaceful vibe. It's a real breath of fresh air. Every time I go, I feel like I'm able to get away from the rat race and just enjoy some downtime. Whether it's taking a leisurely walk or sitting by the pond, It's the perfect spot to let my worries melt away. The cherry on top is that it's not overcrowded, so you get some quiet time without people breathing down your neck. It's definitely one of my favorite go-to places to relax and unwind. Also, there are always some interesting activities going on, like people practicing Tai Chi or kids playing around, which brings a sense of life to the place without making it too chaotic. It's not the biggest park around, but it sure ticks all the boxes for me when I need a breather. A time I gave good advice was when my friend Emily was feeling overwhelmed about her upcoming exams. She was stressing out and felt like she was in over her head. I remember this moment clearly because it was just before finals last semester, and she seemed like she was really struggling to keep her head above water. I advised her to take a step back and create a study schedule. I suggested breaking down her revision into smaller, manageable chunks instead of trying to cram everything in at once. I emphasized the importance of balancing her study time with short breaks to recharge. I also encouraged her to reach out for help if she felt stuck, whether it was talking to our professors or forming study groups with classmates. I gave this advice because I've been in a similar situation before, where I felt like I was drowning in work and didn't know how to manage my time. I knew that a little organization could go a long way in alleviating stress. It's always better to take the bull by the horns rather than let anxiety take control. After I shared my thoughts, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Seeing Emily implement my advice and gradually regain her confidence was rewarding. She eventually told me that my suggestions made a world of difference, and it felt great to know I had helped her turn the tide. In the end, I realized that sometimes just a little nudge in the right direction can help someone see the light at the end of the tunnel. Feel free to modify any details to make it more personal. Here's a description of a sportsperson from Vietnam, designed to fit your requirements and include some idioms. One sportsperson who really stands out in Vietnam is Nguyen Thi Huynh, an exceptional athlete in the sport of athletics. She is primarily a middle-distance runner, and her specialty is the 400 meters and 800 meters races. What's impressive is that she has represented Vietnam at various international competitions, bringing home several medals and accolades. Nguyen Thi Huynh's success is nothing short of remarkable. She has competed in events like the Southeast Asian Games and the Asian Championships, where she has consistently finished at the top. For instance, she won the gold medal in the 800 meters at the 30th Southeast Asian Games held in the Philippines in 2019, which was a significant achievement for her and our country. It's safe to say that she has put Vietnamese athletics on the map. She is famous not only for her athletic prowess, but also for her inspiring story of perseverance. Coming from a modest background, she has faced numerous challenges along the way. Despite the odds stacked against her, she has managed to rise through the ranks and prove her mettle. Her dedication and hard work have made her a role model for many young athletes in Vietnam. In the world of sports, she's truly a shining star, showing that with determination and grit, one can achieve great heights. In summary, Nguyen Thi Huynh embodies the spirit of sportsmanship in Vietnam. Her achievements in athletics have made her a household name, and her journey serves as a testament to the power of resilience and ambition. Feel free to adjust any specific details or names. Here's a description of a time I had to wait for something special, including idioms and designed to be around 1.5 minutes long. A time I had to wait for something that was really special was when I was eagerly anticipating the release of a new video game I had been looking forward to for months. The game was set to launch on a Friday, and I decided to wait in line at the local game store the day before, just to be one of the first to get my hands on it. The excitement was palpable as I stood outside the store, surrounded by fellow gamers who were just as eager. I remember it was a chilly evening, and we all huddled together, sharing stories about our favorite games and strategies. The atmosphere was electric, and it felt like I was part of a community, all waiting for the same thing. While waiting, I couldn't help but think about how this was more than just a game. It was an escape from reality, a chance to dive into a new world and embark on thrilling adventures. I could feel the anticipation building up inside me, making every minute feel like an eternity. Waiting in line was special for me, not only because of the game itself, but also due to the connections I made with others. Everyone was in high spirits, chatting and laughing, which made the wait more bearable. I felt a mix of impatience and excitement, like a kid counting down the days to their birthday. When the moment finally arrived and the doors opened, it was like a rush of adrenaline. We all rushed in, eager to claim our copies. In the end, that waiting experience turned out to be just as memorable as the game itself. It reminded me that sometimes the journey is just as important as the destination, and the thrill of anticipation can be a wonderful experience in itself.